everyone, IvyLeeGaming here, and today we're playing Genshin Impact. For today's video, I'm joined by Papa Tez, and we're gonna talk about Wanderer. Alright, so the reason we're talking about Wanderer is actually related to a YouTube video I just did. So if you guys haven't seen it, I did a reaction series to Genshin Impact character demos. I reacted to all 50-something demos. It was a 3-part video. It was a lot. And I brought Papa Tez on because he's actually played Genshin Impact. How long have you played? What's your story with Genshin?
Oh, my story with Genshin was I probably played nonstop for probably almost the first year or so, albeit a little bit casual, of course, but between having multiple games. But I just really fell in love with the game style. A lot of the story, a lot of the mechanics of how you play to me is really unique. So yeah, it's been really a fun ride. Over the past probably about year and a half, I kind of took a little bit of a break or different breaks. And so now I kind of play a couple of times a week and I've been back enjoying it again. So I'm piquing my interest back up to play it again. So it's been fun.
All right. So yeah, I guess I should say, if you're finding this video separately than everything else, I have not played Genshin Impact. So I have only played like 1 week, one time when I really wanted to try, but then I realized I just wasn't gonna have the time in my normal life before gaming was my only job. So I loved it instantly, but I do not play Genshin Impact. So my reaction to all of the demos was as someone who doesn't know anything about it. And that was kind of the point, right? It's kind of fun, like, to react to something with just an outsider point of view, just to see what catches my eye. Like, how good is this character demo? Did they, like, is it interesting? Is it not interesting? That was kind of my plan. I got it requested to me by someone on Twitter was like, can you react to the Genshin Impact character demos? I'm like, okay. It wasn't something I would have thought of. But it turned out to be quite a successful endeavor. It got a ton of views. It's really fun. But there was one this fella here, Wanderer, was a hot topic.
Garmouche.
Would you not be surprised by that, Papa Tez?
I am far from surprised because there's been so much topic about him from the beginning. And even me, just like my initial impressions of it, I'm like, huh?
Exactly.
What? Like just my whole world just flips upside down when I'm looking like, huh?
That's exactly kind of all right. So like what I'll do is I'm gonna say what my reaction was just watching this. I'm gonna talk about my YouTube comments, and then I'm gonna talk about a discussion I had on Twitch. So, and then we'll see what you think about all that. So I watched this trailer, which is cool and all. It's interesting. I'm like, so I started watching it. I'm like, Wanderer. I'm like, oh, is that really just his name, Wanderer? Okay, is that really just his name? Like, I was curious. Like, is that really just his name? I actually said that in part of it, and then I kept watching, and I'm like, okay, all right, it's interesting, but meh. I said, but meh. People didn't like that. People did not like the meh. I mean, let's be honest. They did not like the meh. And all right, so you know how it goes with YouTube. You have something successful, the more chances of haters too. The higher volume of haters, the bigger something is, the bigger number of action. And there might be a bunch of wonderful, amazing comments, but the ones that stick out are always the negative ones. You know, it's just how it can't help but we're human. But people did not like the mess. So, okay, here's one comment. Wanderer has the most amazing and complex lore so far. He had a lot of other names. The best comment Hoyo has created. Unfortunately, I have to leave a dislike because of your meh commentary. Shows how narrow-minded you are. Papa.
Oh my.
So
wrong opinion, I see.
Exactly. You see, this is why I wanted to have this conversation, because this is actually quite funny to me. So for one, here's my reaction was, I watched a 2-minute clip and I'm watching 50 clips, okay? It was mad to me. It wasn't that interesting. I don't know the character's backstory, and not no offense, I don't care. I'm reacting to a 2-minute clip. That's all it was, you know? So it was like I'm narrow-minded just because I see this character and I don't find his outfit, his look, his whatever interesting, or I don't know. I'm like, okay, must have an interesting story, but man, I don't know. Next one, okay, move on. Like he didn't draw my attention. That's human, right? Like I don't know. We're all gonna have different things that are. Yeah. So that was the start of it.
It's kind of a interesting like viewpoint because even for me, like kind of initially looking at it, it's very meh also, but it's meh for other reasons too.
Yeah, and that's one thing that someone says. So I had the opposite opinion on Twitch, which is why this is funny. So another person said, yeah, Wanderer is a unique character. You can give him a name on your own when you get to his story quest, and that's why this name is quite simple. So that's interesting too. Oh yeah, and by the rest of this, guys, there's going to be major character spoilers for his story. So if you are super into the lore of this and you're playing the story and you haven't got to the depth of Wanderer and all of his story, you might not want to continue because this is going to be spoilery. But yeah. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. If you accidentally get spoiled because you skipped ahead in this video, that's not my fault. All right. So simple comment was next of like, she said Wanderer is whatever with a laughing, crying face. If anything, you should be curious and intrigued of why he doesn't have a name. I was, actually. I said that in the beginning of the video. I was like, or the beginning of this reaction, I was like, oh, that's really only his name? So I was curious, but I still felt meh after watching the trailer. You think that's fair for me to be like, meh? Like, okay.
I do think it's fair because the amount of information that most players know, even at a baseline from playing. So keep in mind that for many of the players within the community, they have seen him in the story when we first touched down on Inuzama. Hopefully I said the name right. And he is different from what we know at first. And so that can kind of prompt some meh. But then there's also the other side or many others within the community who are just so excited to have him as a character. It's something that I think almost everybody wanted, of course. But this showcase was meh.
Yeah, this is the reality. It's a 2-minute clip amongst a bunch of others. So for me, I'm gonna be superficial. Is the character hot? Are they sexy? Are they cool looking? I'm gonna be superficial first because that's our first initial reaction when you visually see something. Then I might look, okay, like, is their outfit interesting? Is their style of fighting interesting? Is there something that's drawing my attention? And not really to me. I just didn't think he was that special. So that's mostly where the man comes from compared to a lot of the other characters. And yes, I do like me a cutesy little girl, adorable character that pulls on your heartstrings. I think it's fun. It makes me happy. It brings me joy. So,
is that a Klee enjoyer I hear?
A what?
Is that a Klee enjoyer I hear? As in super
She's
cutesy,
adorable
cutesy,
too,
want to have a
but
daughter?
well, I know this. Nahida.
Nahida.
Her trailer is the cutest thing, and at the end, it has a sad moment of showing some complexity to her story, which I'm very lightly aware of as well. So that's really fun, and she intrigues me super, super big now. Like I'm super curious about her and her story. Don't really care about Wanderer still, not gonna lie, but but we'll say why.
Do you want the spoilerly part of why I say Manta Wanderer?
Let's see. Yes, I'll hear. Okay, yes, I want to hear your spoilery part of why you say meh. Then I'm going to tell you what the guy on Twitch said and why he says that Wanderer is meh as well. Okay, you first.
So again, spoilers again. If this is your last chance. If you haven't played at all, you don't know anything about the story, this is your chance to just turn off the video, go play, and then come back. Make sure you go through Inazuma first, at least through the main story portion, and then start going through Sumeru, and then you'll be good. But Scaramouche within the story, when you get to Inazuma, of course he is, with my limited understanding of it, of not remembering all the words and stuff, he is actually an Electro character when you first find him. So for me, it's mad because he turned into an Animo character. And I haven't gone really deep into the story to understand why that transition was made. But that's the initial impression because we don't get that explained throughout the entire Genshin story. And even when you get to Sumeru and you see him there, he's still an Electro character. And that's the part that kind of throws it off completely. But at the same time, when you finish the Sumeru story, you could see how they could lead down the path of that. And so for me, it's excitement of like, man, we're gonna get like this OP Electro character that's just gonna rise Electro to the top. It's gonna be amazing, over the top. And I look down and I see Animo on his chest. Because of course they have the little small gnosis and
Mm-hmm.
or the little representations of whatever element they are. And you see that and you're like, huh?
So in the game overall, is the Electro, is that like, is that weak right now? It really needs a better like set of characters? Is that what you're saying? So you're excited to have a strong one?
Well, I was
Or
just excited to have another strong one because
oh,
actually
okay.
Raiden, at first,
Oh,
the
Raiden
original
is all
opinion
right.
of Raiden, the original opinion of Raiden was that um, she was kind of okay, but now she's used in so many team comps now because of her versatility and also because of the crazy amount of damage that you do now. And even more so now with the dropping of Dendro and with a little bit of buffing that they did to some of the reactions, it is very strong now. But at the time, of
Okay.
course, before they kind of did that, it's like, okay, she's kind of man. Well, she at that point she became good, and a lot of people figured out how to use her in teams. But it's just like getting another person because the other 5-star that we have, Kaching at the time, was that you either love her or you don't really care for her because she's quote unquote the worst of the 5-star DPS, even though she's kind of risen to the top with Dendro now. But
Okay. So your meh
Mhm.
is, yeah, the change of element which disappointed you in the end, which made you feel meh. That's fair. So regardless of his story itself, just the fact of his actual usage made you feel meh. Okay.
Yeah, it's part of the usage and also to the I don't know, the I like the presentation, but it didn't tell me anything about him. It didn't really tell me anything about where he was or where he went to. I guess the only thing it kind of told me was he is a wanderer and that maybe these Fatui either didn't know him or didn't fully recognize him or thought of him as his old self and yet he's something different now. So that's kind
Okay.
of what I saw in the trailer.
All right. So I got someone I mentioned in Twitch when I was streaming the next, or was it the same day? I can't remember if it was the next day or the same day that I streamed on Twitch after I posted this first initial reaction video. I was like, oh my, because someone came in who I knew was a Genshin player, and I was like, dude, I got so many funny comments when I posted this reaction video. I was like, man, people must love this Wanderer guy. And he's like, can I spoiler? First he said Wanderer is a little biatch. That comment is awful. That was his first comment. Wanderer is so cringe, but people like him. That was the first thing he said, and then he's like, "No,
That
can
is
I? Do
hilarious.
you want the TLDR? Can I spoil?" And
Lay it out on me.
this, so I actually when someone after someone had told me this, or after he had told me this, I replied back on YouTube later under one of the comments that I saw later that day, and was like, yeah, I actually got a TLDR of him, and I still kind of feel even more so like I think he's mad after hearing this TLDR. I think I would agree. I don't think I'd like this character, actually. And then someone else replied, wait, you got a TLDR? That kind of hinders your reactions. They weren't real. I'm like, no, I got that after I did the reaction. And then someone else was like, oh, you got a TLDR. Why would you get TLDRs? There's no reason to even play the game then. Like, for one, I'm okay with one TLDR about one character because I'm not going to play this game anytime soon anyway. By the time I do, I'm not going to remember the details of some one little plot point. And I'm not going to like this character probably anyway if I end up agreeing with this guy. So here we go. Ready for it? Okay, this is hilarious. Okay. He's basically a clone of a god and kind of an emo biatch. and a villain in the story. He's so emo. Then he becomes a god and wants to destroy humanity. Then changes history to forget he ever existed. And then he loses his memory, so he comes back as a good guy, but he's still kind of a dick. He's also mad in combat.
That is a very on point TLDR.
Oh, so you agree? That's fun.
100%. 100%.
Let me know in the comments below,
Him.
guys. What do you think of this?
Oh, man.
Isn't that funny?
That is
He's
hilarious.
basically an emo biatch. Not to
And
pick on people being
he's a
sensitive,
copy.
he's just... Sorry, go ahead. What are you gonna say?
He's a broken copy. He's a broken copy of a god. Number one, he's a broken copy of a god. So it's just like, but yeah, he thinks he's the absolute stuff. And it's just like, this guy again? Okay.
Yeah. So it sounds like they tried to make him super complex, but if you really look at it from a different perspective like that, you're like, oh, actually, he's kind of terrible. But I mean, again, I don't know. I haven't seen it all, so.
Yeah. I will say though, I do like what they did with him as a character overall, because I think it shows to me, I look at the way that they do different characters. I look at what is the point of what they're trying to get across. So to me, it's kind of almost like Pride is before Crash, because even though he was the inferior version of a god, of the Electro god, he thought that he was the stuff. He did have his own independent thinking, all of that. And then when he did get to godhood, he just was so consumed with pride and so consumed with being the absolute stuff that he just lost sight of, like, okay, this isn't the way that you should be. So that's what I look at too. I look at the points,
lesson
and I
learned.
like the way that they
Yeah.
made the point with that. I think that was really good.
He kind of loses it like humbleness and turns into a dick.
Well, never had humbleness, but
Never had it to begin with either? Oh, okay.
he's never been humble.
Fair then, fair.
He's always been a bitch at the end of the day.
That's funny. See, I love that. I was so worried that I was gonna have you here and be like, but he's like my favorite character. I thought
No, he's definitely not my favorite. I do like him, but it's just, yeah, he is an interesting character, and I look at him from a different viewpoint. Instead of just looking at just the character and how he is, I also look at what is the message that maybe Mohoya was trying to drive, or Hoya
That's
Voice
fair.
was trying to drive with this
like
with this character. So I think it's kind of cool and unique.
That is very good. All right. So
Mhm.
in other words, guys, I don't have an opinion either way because I literally don't play the game. I was just reacting to a 2-minute video. Don't hate me for not thinking something's interesting. I'm allowed to like cute little adorable girls or my sexy waifus. If he's boring to me, he's boring to me. Let me have my opinions, god damn it. Right? It's fair.
Waifus, you mean Dia? Okay, anyway.
Hey, when I saw the Shogun, I was like, oh, hey, we finally got some cleavage in here.
And it's built into her ultimate too, so it's great, right?
Oh, okay. Yes, okay. True.
My personal favorite is Dia, just throwing it out there. But
who?
Dia, but that's a whole nother really sad story with that one. Yeah. For me personally.
I know that was one that people were really hyped about. And she is like one of the sexiest, most like the prettiest characters in the game for sure. I think from all the ones I watched, she definitely has like the attractive level pretty high. But I know I remember you talking about being excited for her, then it being a bit of a letdown because she didn't play the way you thought or something. Like they didn't make the character the way they seemed like they were going to.
I know this could be for a completely different video, but one of my friends teases me to this day on it, and it just sends me into immediate mental depression. It's so bad. It's so bad.
Aww.
But it's funny though. It's funny though. But
we won't dive too deep into that one then. I think I'll wrap up here.
Yeah, don't dive deep. You can say that one for another video, but it is hilarious. It's pretty funny.
So, do you have anything YouTube wise with Genshin or no?
I
or
currently
just
don't have
Hoyoverse?
anything YouTube wise. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's more or less has been like my offline game. I've been thinking of
Okay.
doing some things with it YouTube wise, but most of the time
On
it's just
Twitch.
maybe a couple of times a month I'll pop in a stream on it
Mm-hmm.
and kind of play it a little bit because yeah, I've got like a, as you know, mixed community, so
Yeah. I know I've kind
yeah.
of become a variety streamer myself these days. I kind of like playing all the games. It's hard. So I'm going to be focusing Honkai Star Rail for my streams to come as much as I can. You're going to be playing Honkai Star Rail too, right, Papa Tez?
It will be. I've even
Yay.
decided to take a break on at least one game just so I can have at
Exactly.
least
I'm
a
going to
little
have
bit more
to.
breathing room to kind of play some other stuff because I honestly haven't. I think that's one of the biggest things. You probably see that as a person who plays multiple games, and then people start to get a little bit of expectations of what you're playing, and then it's like, okay, well, I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to play it. I don't want to give it up because
Always.
people are depending
Yeah.
on me for content or for this and that. And I
Mm-hmm.
think I just came to the point where it's like, you know what? I need to figure out what I like and then make sure I have enough room so I can include something new. Otherwise, I'll never be able to get to something new.
That's fair. I'm the
Mhm.
same. I've been really, and ever since quitting playing Raid Shadow Legends, I felt free. You know, like I'm like, I could play a million games now. It's so fun. I can experiment. But then the second I quit playing something, people are like, oh, you're being a quitter again. Like, no, maybe I like playing, bouncing around from game to game. Why do we have to play one game for 4 years? Maybe I don't want to. Like, maybe I don't
Oh
want
yeah,
to. Right? It's so
I
much fun
understand
starting
100%.
something new or a new account. Like that's the best, the funnest time. So if every game only lasts me 6 months, great. I'll go on to the next fun thing, and that'll be even more exciting.
Yeah. And I think you also get like a wider breadth of stuff that you actually enjoy.
Yeah, you can figure
The
out
other
what you
unique
like.
thing is you get to show your community different things too. So,
Hmm.
of course, they get to go to their favorites for certain content, but then they can come to you and be like, "Okay, you actually tried that new game. How did you like it?" And
Hmm.
because of like, I mean, I know that you always try to give a honest viewpoint of these different games. So it's always just
Hmm.
fun to come back and say, Ivy, what did you think about this? How did you feel about this? How do you react to this? Because we know that
Yeah.
you're gonna do your best to give us something that's real to hold on to. So we appreciate it.
Maybe someday I'll play Genshin Impact, but for us, it makes more sense for me to play what's coming out new as a content creator. But the
Hmm.
community's
Okay.
still so big and poppin' for Genshin, so it's definitely a
Yeah.
possibility.
Yeah. Especially for somebody that's coming in new, it's yeah, it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it for sure.
The more I watch stuff, the more I look at stuff, the more I want to play it because it is beautiful. I've said this, it's way more my vibe than Honkai Star Rail is. I don't really care about spacey stuff, and even though I play Eternal Evolution, but whatever. But I prefer the pretty cutesy, positive, peaceful vibes is what I meant to say. The like peaceful, pretty, nice music, pretty scenery, cutesy fairies, and that kind of vibe. Like I like that more than I like edgy, like industrial or techie.
Gotcha. And it has a good routine that you could
It
get into. So
does.
for me as a person who um that plays a lot of other games, the
Mm-hmm.
daily routine of it is not like what you mentioned like Raid Shadow Legends. It's far from that. So you
Really?
could probably play 6, 7 hours a week. I mean, even down to like 4 hours a week once you get on a good routine. And then when you want
Yeah,
to play a story, you just take that hour or two and play that story part all the way through and then
that's true.
just relax. So
And the
it's a
reality
really
is,
good.
it's like there's no reason to rush through it. It's not like you're trying to get to the super end game like PvP. You have to compete with the other PvP people, right? It's not like that. So
Yeah, no PvP, so no need to worry
exactly, yeah,
about
that's what
that.
I like. That makes me want to play even more. Okay, okay, I better. I can. I'm gonna stop here for real this time. Papa, thank you for joining me. I'll make sure to link your Twitch below, guys. You gotta go hang out with him.
Come along, come along.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.